So like I said, negative comments, we can pick up on those and they become internal negative comments, and it's more difficult, I think, to ignore the negative self-comments. You can't pick yourself up and walk away from it and then look at it, because it's in your head and it's harder to consider that your own thoughts are wrong and compared to somebody else's thoughts. So I would, again, with negative criticisms, write them down, look at them and look at why they're not true. Definitely do that, just the same as you would if somebody else was saying it. I think that's really useful. And other things to do is sort of positive quotes and affirmations. I have a cork board next to my screen which I sometimes put sticky notes on with nice things people have said, or positive things about myself, or to remind me of something good I've done which disagrees with a negative self-talk thought I might have. I find things like that personally really useful. And something else that you could do is, I know it sounds really daft, but if you feel like you're ugly, and I'm just using that as an example, I'm not suggesting that people with eating disorders are vain at all, but say that's one of your negative self-comments, like negative self-criticisms, is when you get up in the morning, look in the mirror and tell yourself 5 times, I am beautiful. It's kind of embarrassing, but it's only you in the room, only you's going to hear it, and it sounds ridiculous, but just try it. And something else, and I think it was Ariel that suggested this, was like putting a message in your phone, so at a specific time every day your phone pops up with a positive quote towards yourself. I think that's a really nice idea. So that's just a couple of ideas in terms of that. Something else that I wanted to talk about in terms of this negative self-talk is about how it can almost in some ways be constructive. And that sounds ridiculous, and I know it does, but just bear with me a minute. When we have these negative self-talks, we have them for a reason. Something created this seed in our brain, like I was suggesting, something that somebody else has repeatedly said to you, planting this little seed in your brain and it becoming a thought process which you learn to believe, and it's difficult to ignore because it's in your own head. And for me, it's been quite useful to look at these thoughts and not just look at them on the surface level, so not just look at you are stupid, but to consider where this thought came from. Where did I first hear somebody say this? What things over the years have contributed to me believing it? And then you can go back and you can look at that, and because you probably hadn't dealt with it at the time, like I'm suggesting you do now with things people say, hadn't gone back and looked at it and thought it through, and it's just grown and you've learnt to believe it. So I think if you go back, you can deal with the feelings from then, and hopefully, without having to repeatedly keep telling yourself it's wrong, you've gone back and dealt with it, so the feeling should lessen a little bit, and it should become easier to disbelieve that negative self-talk. And I guess that's me trying to make something positive out of something negative, like I like to do. But I do think even those bad things, they come from these negative self-talks, come from somewhere, and we're thinking it for a reason, and it's good to look at it and understand it in order for us to change how we're thinking. And I used to be probably one of the most negative people toward myself that I can imagine. And these are sort of the things that have helped me over time, so hopefully they can help you a little bit. If anybody's got any questions, then feel free to comment in the boxes, and I'll either type a reply to you, or I'll send you a message, or I might even make a video if more than 1 or 2 people ask the same question. So hopefully that's been useful, and take care until next week, guys. Bye.